Guys, today I'm going to read you Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast. In a faraway country lived a rich merchant with his three lovely daughters, Bliss, Blossom and Beauty. They lived comfortably in a large house with many servants. One day the merchant lost all of his ships to storms at sea. The family could no longer afford the fine house or the servants, so they moved to a small cottage in the country. At first, Bliss and Blossom were unhappy. They complained about the luxuries they had lost and the work they now had to do. Beauty said, "Crying won't make things better. We must learn to make ourselves happy here." She worked every day, cleaning, cooking and gardening, and she helped her sisters learn to enjoy their new life. The merchant was proud of all his girls, but especially of Beauty. Go Beauty! One day, the merchant heard that one of his ships had returned safely, and he prepared for the long journey to the port. Each daughter wished him a safe journey and asked him to bring back a gift. Bliss and Blossom asked for dresses and fine jewellery. "What would you like, Beauty?" the merchant asked his other daughter. "A rose," said Beauty. "Just a lovely rose." When he reached the port, the merchant learned that his cargo of fine silk had been ruined by water leaking into the ship. He was just as poor as before. Oh dear. That's sad. The merchant rode sadly home. He was passing through a strange part of the woods that he had never seen before. As night fell, he began to hear soft rustling sounds behind him and eerie howls in the distance. Suddenly, a raging storm blew up, and he found himself lost in a deep, swirling mist of snow. The merchant trudged on bravely, but he soon realized that he would have to stop for the night. In the distance he saw a warm, glowing light that seemed to cut right through the storm. He struggled toward it, hoping that he would find a small village or a tiny hut where he could wait for the storm to end. He stepped into a clearing and came upon the most magnificent palace he had ever seen. Ooh. The merchant tied his horse and went inside. He could not find the owner of the castle, but he did find an inviting fire, a wonderful meal, and a soft warm bed with all laid out for him. The next morning the merchant decided to explore the palace grounds. Even though it was winter, the air was warm and the garden was filled with colourful flowers of all kinds. He came upon a lovely rose bush, and remembering Beauty's request, he decided to pick one for her. As he broke the stem of the flower, the air filled with a terrible roar, and a huge beast appeared, as if from nowhere. Dun, dun, dun. "Thief! Robber!" the beast bellowed. "I offered you food and shelter, and you stole from me. For this I must put you in the dungeon." Oh dear. Stealing's never really good. The merchant begged the beast to let him take the rose to Beauty and see his daughters one last time. Touched by the man's love for his family, Beast gave him a magic ring to take him from the castle to his home. In exchange, the merchant promised to return and accept his punishment. He returned home and told his daughters what had happened. "Must you go, father?" asked Bliss. "We will miss you so." "It is only a beast," said Blossom. "Do you have to keep a promise to such a creature?" "I gave my word," said the merchant. "I must return tomorrow." Beauty said nothing, but as soon as all were asleep, she took the magic ring and used it to go to the castle. Ooh. Beauty told Beast she wanted to take her father's place. "When he took your rose, he was only doing what I had asked," she said. "I should be the one to stay here with you." Put that a bit differently. Again, Beast was moved, and he agreed. "You will not stay as a prisoner, though, but as my guest." Beast worked hard to make Beauty happy. He saw that she had beautiful clothes, delicious meals, and fresh flowers from the garden. Every evening they would have dinner together and spend many hours talking. Sometimes they would even dance in the palace's magnificent ballroom. Beast soon fell in love with Beauty. He often thought of telling her, but he was ashamed of his frightful looks, and he never spoke to her of his feelings. In time, Beauty came to care for Beast very much. She admitted the pride he had took in his garden, and she loved the gentle way he tended to the animals in the palace grounds. But she also missed her family. One day she asked if she might visit them. "Very well," said Beast. He gave her the magic ring. "But I can let you go for only 10 days. On the 10th day you must return here." Beauty went home, and her family was overjoyed to see her. When the time came for her to return to Beast, she could not bear to leave her family. She decided to stay one more day. As Beauty slept that night, she dreamed that Beast was lying helpless in his garden. He seemed to be dying. She was so frightened by the dream that she used the ring to return to the palace at once. All was strangely quiet. She called out, but heard no one answer. She rushed to the garden and found Beast lying just as she had seen him in her dream. "Oh, Beast, don't die," she cried. "You are so kind, and I do love you. You are ugly, but your goodness is easy to see." With Beauty's words, the Beast turned into a handsome prince. "An old fairy turned me into a beast to teach me a lesson," said the prince. "I was a selfish young man who was often cruel to animals. I thought to be ugly the spell would be broken only when someone grew to love me in spite of the way I looked." The prince used his magical ring to bring Beauty's father and her sisters to the palace. He also invited people from the nearest village to celebrate his happiness. "I love your daughter," the prince said to Beauty's father. "She is beautiful and kind, and I would like to marry her as soon as possible." Beauty's father was thrilled to see the Beast transformed into a loving young man. He happily agreed. The prince and Beauty were married at once. Her father, her sisters, and all the people who belonged to the prince's court came to celebrate the wedding. Then they all lived happily together in the enchanted palace. The end.